So next we're going to move on to a different style of problems. So these are geometry problems. And the first question tells us that three angles make up a straight line. And the three angles that we have are x, 3x and 2x. And it's asking us to form an equation using your own knowledge. So the key part here is that it states using your own knowledge. So it's asking us to pull on our own knowledge to be able to answer the question. So this usually means it hasn't given us all the information we need in order to answer the question. So let's have a think here. So if we have a straight line and then collectively all the angles make up this angle here, which we'll call A, and we have A is equal to x plus 3x plus 2x, which we have up here. We have x, 3x and 2x. And the original question says that three angles make up a straight line. So we should know that the angles of a straight line, so the angle of any given straight line, which we've called A here, adds up to 180 degrees. And the reason why is if we have this circle, and this red line represents the diameter of the circle, then we know that a circle adds up to 360 degrees. So if a circle was halved, so we have half the amount of degrees, so we could either choose this side or this side, then we would know that this side here adds up to 180 degrees, and this side here also adds up to 180 degrees, which would mean the angle we have here is 180 degrees. So we've called this A, but now we can replace A with 180 degrees and say that 180 is equal to x plus 3x plus 2x. And we can collect like terms and say that 6x is equal to 180 degrees. And since it only asks to form an equation, we'll just leave that there. So on our answer line, we would write 6x is equal to 180 degrees. And then part B asks us to solve the equation to find the value of x. So we've already worked out that 6x is equal to 180 degrees. So now we're able to use the three steps we've been using before to get x on its own, which would give us the value for x. So we have 6 times x is equal to 180. So we've already isolated the variable term. We just need to multiply or divide in order to get x on its own. So if we have 6 times x, we need to get rid of the 6, so we need to use division. So if we have 6 times x divided by 6 is equal to 180 divided by 6, and this is of course x is equal to 180 divided by 6, which equals 30 degrees. So we have x is equal to 30 degrees. Now part C asks us to work out the size of the largest angle. So up here we have three angles, we have x, 3x and 2x. So we know the larger of those three options are going to be the largest angle, but we can also see here visually that this angle here is the largest. So we know 3x is the largest angle, and it's asking us to work out the size of the largest angle. So if we have 3x is equal to 3 times the value of x, which is 30 degrees, is equal to, so we have 3 times 30, and 3 times 30 is 90. So 3x is equal to 90 degrees, so the size of the largest angle is 90 degrees. So the next question is quite similar to the one we've just done. It's given us a diagram of a rectangle where the sides of the rectangle are represented in terms of x, and it's asking us a couple of questions about it. So it is quite similar to the one we've just completed. So if you can pause this video and just have a go at this one yourself, and then as I've said, there's solutions in the description so you can check your answer. So next we're going to move on to forming linear equations. So this is where we're given information in the question and we're expected to think about what's going on and then form our own equation based off that information. So in this question we have the information that Peter has X pounds and Hannah has £6 more than Peter. So we have this guy called Peter who's got an X amount of pounds, and then someone called Hannah has £6 more than him. And now we have this guy called Mike who has £3 less than Hannah, and the total amount of money they have is £78. Okay, so let's just start writing some of this information down. So we have Peter, which we'll just represent as P, has X amount of pounds. And then we have Hannah, who has the money that Peter has plus an extra £6. So we'll have X pounds plus 6 more pounds. And then Mike has £3 less than Hannah. So he has at least what Peter has, which is X pounds. But he has £3 less than Hannah in total. So Hannah has her X pounds plus £6. So Mike must have Hannah's X pounds plus £6 minus £3, where in the brackets is what Hannah has in total, and then we're going to minus £3 of that. And we also know that the sum of this is £78, so the money that everyone has in total is £78. So we can actually start forming some type of equation here. So we can say that the money that Peter has, which is X, plus the money that Hannah has, which is X plus 6, plus the money that Mike has, which is X plus 6 minus 3, is all going to equal £78. So that's equal to 78. And then we could of course simplify this as we have X plus X, which is 3X. And then we have 6 plus 6, which is 12. And then we want to minus 3. So we have 12 minus 3, which is 9. So 3x plus 9, and that's equal to 78. So now we want to stop there. We don't want to do anything else to it, as we have now formed an equation using the information that we have been provided. So this means in our answer line we simply put 3x plus 9 is equal to 78. Now part B of the question asked us to solve the equation to find how much money Peter has. So remember that Peter has X amount of pounds, so the amount that Peter has is actually the value of X. So if we have 3x plus 9 is equal to 78, we essentially just want to solve for x at this point. So we can subtract 9 from both sides to isolate the variable term. So we have 3x plus 9 minus 9, which is obviously 0, is equal to 78 minus 9, which is equal to 69. And then we want to divide both sides by 3 to get x on its own. So we have x is equal to 69 divided by 3. And 69 divided by 3 is equal to 23. So we know that Peter has £23. So we'll put in our answer box that Peter has £23. So next we have a question here which is very similar to the one we've just done. I do want you to pause the video and do this one yourself. So it's based on age, this question, and it's telling you the age of Peter and that Hannah is 4 years older than Peter and that David is twice as old as Peter. And then it's also telling you their combined age. So if you just have a look through, answer the questions, and then you'll be able to check your solutions in the link in the description. So in this video we have no exam style questions just because the AQA exam papers have plenty of past exam questions that we can use. So I'm just going to go through each question and solve it, and then you should be able to see how I'd approach these types of questions and also how all the practice we've just done in the previous questions relate to what you would actually have in the exam. So the first question is asking us to solve x minus 3 is equal to 0, but it's asking us to circle our answer. Sometimes with these questions you can see straight away what the answer would be, but I'd never recommend just going straight for it. I'd always recommend that you prove it, and in this case it's actually quite easy to prove. So if we have x minus 3 is equal to 0, we want to isolate x so it's on its own, so we need to add 3 to both sides. So we have x minus 3 plus 3, which is equal to 0 plus 3. And then if we simplify this, we have x is equal to 3. And then obviously if we're to substitute that back into the original equation, we would have x minus 3 is equal to 3 minus 3, which is equal to 0. So we know that x equals 3 is the correct solution. And then we can notice over here that it's also one of the options of the list. So we just circle x equals 3. You wouldn't get any marks necessarily for the workings out you've done over here, but you would just get the 1 mark for circling the correct answer. Now the next question asks us to solve 4x minus 3 is equal to 14, so these are very similar to the ones we've done above. In this case it's 2 marks. We do have to actually prove how we got there. So if we do it step by step like we usually do, we want to simplify both sides of the equation if we can, but in this case we don't need to. So now we want to use addition or subtraction to get the variable term on its own. So we'll first copy the equation, and then we want to add 3 to both sides so that we end up with 4x is equal to 14 plus 3, which is 17. And then to get x on its own, we need to divide both sides by 4, so we have x is equal to 17 divided by 4. It's always good to check our answers just to make sure we haven't made any silly mistakes. So 4x minus 3 is equal to 4 times 17 over 4 minus 3. And then this should equal 14, but let's see what happens. So we have 4 times 17 over 4, but we should be able to notice that the 4's would just cancel out to leave 17 minus 3. And 17 minus 3 is 14, which means our solution is correct. So now the last thing we want to do is underline our answer a few times just so the examiner knows this is our final answer, especially since there isn't an answer line available. So we move on to the next question now, which asks us to circle the point that lies on the line x minus 3, which is equal to 0. So this is actually quite similar to the one we've done before, but in this case we need to circle the coordinate that lies on this line. So we have 3, 0, 0, 3, minus 3, 0, and 0, minus 3. So same again that we did earlier, we already know that x is going to be 3, but let's just prove it. So if we have x minus 3 is equal to 0, we want to add 3 to both sides, so we have x is equal to 3. That's going to be our x coordinate. Now for our y coordinate, we actually want to substitute this into our original equation, so we're going to have 3 minus 3, which is equal to 0, which means our y coordinate is actually 0. So in terms of x and y, we actually have 3 and 0. So we want to circle the option that's 3 and 0, which is the first option, so we'll just give that a circle there, and that answers our question, and we should get that 1 mark. Now the next question, we have solve 3x is equal to 2, so this one's also a nice and easy one that we just need to circle. So if we have 3x is equal to 2, then x is of course going to be 2 over 3, and let's see if that's an option. It is the second option here, so we'll give that a circle. The next question is asking us to rearrange e is equal to 2f to make f the subject, and it's also wanting us to circle the answer. So if we have e is equal to 2f, so in this example we actually have 2 variables which we haven't done yet, but our 3 steps still apply. So we want to first get the f term on its own, which it is, so we don't need to use subtraction or division. And next, since we have 2f, we want to divide both sides by 2 in order to get f on its own. So if we divide both sides by 2, we would have e over 2 is equal to f, which is of course just f is equal to e over 2. And then that should be our final answer, but let's see if there is an option. Yeah, it's the fourth option, so f is equal to e over 2 is our final answer. Now the next question is asking us to solve x minus 3 is equal to 14. So we've seen plenty of these ones before. We have x minus 3 is equal to 14. So x is equal to 14 plus 3. And 14 plus 3 is equal to 17. So x is equal to 17. And we'll just double underline our final answer since there isn't an answer line. Now the next question asks us to solve 5y is equal to 45. So if we have 5y is equal to 45, then y is going to equal 45 divided by 5. And since 45 and 5 are both multiples of 5, we know we'll get a whole number. So how many 5s go into 45? Well, we have 9. So that means y is equal to 9 is our final answer. We could of course check this just by substituting y as 9. So we have 5y is equal to 5 times 9, which is 45. So we know our solution is correct. Now the next question is 8 plus w is equal to 6, so nice and easy. We're going to subtract 8 from both sides to get w is equal to 6 minus 8, which is equal to minus 2. So w is equal to minus 2, and then we want to check our answers by substituting w in. So if we have 8 plus w is equal to 8 minus 2, which is equal to 6. So we know our solution is correct, and we'll just double underline our answer so the examiner knows that that's our final answer. Now the rest of the questions are nothing we haven't done before, just wanted you to have a few examples of me going through how I'd approach it in an exam. So just have a go at these yourselves and check your answers in the solutions in the description, but they're all fairly similar to what I've just done or the examples we did earlier on. But that's it for this video on solving linear equations. I hope you found some of it useful, but make sure you do give the questions a go yourself so you can make sure that you know how to solve linear equations. But that is it for this video.